Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest installment of Affinity's live demo series. My name is Ivan, and I'm a technical support engineer here at Affinity. At Affinity, our mission is democratize data ownership. We do this by enabling developers with data and identity management solutions that help their end users to take control of their data and digital identities. With the ever-increasing threats of data and security breaches, it's imperative for both users and developers to be cognizant of the consequences of every digital interaction. At Affinity, we're dedicated to tackling the digital identity problem head-on. Today, I'm excited to guide you through the process of implementing passwordless authentication using Affinidi Login for Shopify platform. So welcome again, and let's look at what we have in store for today's session. So what do we have for today? First, we will understand the privacy and personalization dilemma. Then, we will look into why passwordless authentication can streamline your onboarding experience and give your customers with a great overall experience in an e-commerce context. Finally, we will go through a step-by-step demo to implement passwordless authentication for your own Shopify platform. Why we've chosen Shopify as our primary example due to its widespread popularity for launching e-commerce ventures swiftly. It's worth noting that if any other platform or applications that supports OIDC authentication, Affinity Login for passwordless authentication can be seamlessly integrated with it. So let's talk about privacy and personalization. When we talk about privacy, we assume that the end user experience becomes compromised. Implementing privacy experiences doesn't always necessitate that user experiences cannot be personalized. We will see further, in fact, how experiences can be elevated when you put your users' data privacy at the heart of your own interactions. This is an example of an app onboarding form, which tends to give poor experience to potential customers. I personally would be discouraged to fill up these forms, and it's very tedious. This makes me wish that somebody can make onboarding as hassle-free as possible without compromising on user privacy. Our research with IDC brought out some interesting facts. Most users hesitate to go beyond 3 steps of registrations. IDC research found that 79% of customers today expect a seamless registration with a maximum of 3 steps. With an average of 240 account details to recall, our research shows that the burden internet users face. Having a lot of accounts to manage is cumbersome, as you have to remember the passwords for each account that you have. A huge fraction of this are from e-commerce platforms. Eliminating passwords can improve user experience by reducing the number of login details users need to remember. It also helps to reduce onboarding friction to an application. It makes the user stay in control of their data and gives them a great trustworthy experience from the start. To address these password-related challenges, we often resort to creating complex passwords. However, this approach introduces its own set of issues. Complex passwords are hard to remember and can lead to difficulty managing multiple passwords. On the flip side, using a simple or identical passwords across various accounts increases the risk of hacking. Furthermore, complex passwords may result in forgetting them altogether, leading to being locked out due to multiple incorrect attempts. Some individuals even resort to storing passwords in insecure locations, such as notes, phones, or desks, which poses significant security risks, despite aiming to create strong passwords. But what if we eliminate the need for passwords altogether? Imagine a scenario where proving our identity doesn't require a password at all. Our identity is not defined by our passwords. It is shaped by our attributes. However, in today's digital landscape, passwords often serve as the primary means of authentication, mistakenly completing them with our identity. It's very important that we shift away from this paradigm, paving the way for a new revolution in authentication. At Affinity, we're committed to playing our parts in this transition. We've developed a solution based on open standards, empowering users to authenticate without the fear of being tethered to a specific platform or service. Let's talk about some of the challenges on e-commerce context. Studies show a whopping 25% of customers tend to abandon their accounts or their cart checkout because they're forced to create an account. This frustration stems from extra steps involved, especially when they do only want to buy something once. Some of this feels like your date of birth, and phone number aren't essential to buying an item online. In relation to creating accounts, imagine constantly juggling profiles across countless shopping platforms. Sharing data on each one creates a scattered online footprint. This leads to a fragmented identity that leaves you exposed and vulnerable. Websites, desperate to understand you better, resort to intrusive tracking. This not only misrepresents your fragmented online self, but also creates a false sense of security. It just means that they don't really know you. So what's the core issue? The issue is that we lack control over our scattered data. Unlike in the real world, website holds their reins, leaving you with an incomplete picture of your digital self. But what if we can change that? What if, as a user, you get to have a single profile that you fully control and manage for different platforms? And what if you get to have a seamless shopping experience? That would be nice. With this, we wanted to introduce the term holistic identity. Holistic identity represents a fundamental shift in how we perceive and manage identity in the digital realm. Rather than viewing identity as a fragmented collection of usernames, passwords, and personal details scattered across various platforms, holistic identity embraces a more comprehensive perspective. With holistic identity, we recognize identity is multifaceted, encompassing not just traditional authentication methods, but also a wide range of attributes and characteristics that define who we are. It goes beyond mere authentication and access control, integrating elements such as biometrics, behavioral patterns, social connections, and personal preferences. This approach enables a more nuanced understanding of identity, allowing for greater personalization, security, and user control. By adopting a holistic identity framework, organizations can better safeguard sensitive information and enhance user experiences and foster trust in digital interactions. At Affinity, our vision is to revolutionize the current paradigm of digital identity, empowering individuals to reclaim ownership of data, to gain control over digital identities, and actively engage in safeguarding privacy. Our concept of holistic identity encompasses the complete spectrum of discovering, collecting, sharing, storing, and even monetizing personal data in the digital realm. We enable individuals to possess a comprehensive integrated self-view in the digital world, exercise authority of their data, and make informed usage decisions. Imagine a world where your shopping preferences follow you and not the other way around. You can gather your preferences from various sources like your Gmail purchase history and effortlessly share them with different stores. This centralized hub of your preferences would tell stores exactly what you need, leading to personalized offers that perfectly match your taste. No more endless browsing or irrelevant recommendations, just a seamless shopping experience tailored to you. And this is where Affinity Vault empowers you. Remember how your identity is fragmented across the web? Affinity Vault puts you in control. It acts as your digital identity vault, allowing you to securely collect, store, and share your data with applications. Forget juggling multiple logins. Affinity Vault serves as your credential manager, enabling secure sign-in and authentication through Affinity Login. It adheres to open standards like OID for VP for seamless integration. Affinity Vault goes a step further by acting as your decentralized agent and holistic identity store. This means that you are in control how you share your identity and ensuring privacy and security. Plus, you'll always be prompted for consent before information is shared. Finally, Affinity Vault keeps track of everything with its built-in consent manager. You can easily see which websites have access to your data and manage those permissions. Imagine shopping with or without the hassle. With Affinity Vault, you control what information you share with stores. Let's say you're looking for basketball shoes. Securely sharing your preferences from your Affinity Vault and shopping websites allows tailors your experience accordingly. You'll see only relevant offers and personalized feeds that match your interests. Affinity Vault goes beyond preferences. Share your birthday securely, and stores can surprise you with birthday discounts. That would be nice. Plus, say goodbye to lengthy account creation. Affinity Vault and Affinity Login works together for a seamless one-click checkout. This is a feature of e-commerce, personalized experience that respects your privacy. Affinity Vault puts you in control and making shopping a breeze. Now that we learned about the basic building blocks, let's see how all these concepts come together in our decentralized auth implementation we call Affinidi Login. So let's dive into the demo. So I'm gonna share my Shopify account. So right now, I'm currently logged into my admin account on Shopify, and I'm viewing my Affinity demo store. To access this, you can go to settings, and I'm just gonna copy the URL of my store. I'm gonna paste it here. And currently it's locked. Let me just unlock it by going to the online store and preferences. And I'll see the password here. All right, so this is how my store looks like, which I have created previously. And you will see here the products that I have set up as test data. So by default, it currently supports login, which is using username and password. For us to integrate Affinity Login, we need to set up an application. First is we need to have a vault. I want to share with you how a vault looks like. Here, you just have to go to the web vault by going to vault@affinity.com. And what you'll initially see is that you'll have the option to get started to initialize or set up your vault, or just store it from your backup in case that you already have a vault in place. So what I'm going to do in this demo, I'm going to start and create my own vault. You'll have to input your passphrase. So you have to ensure that you remember your passphrase, and this is just one passphrase for this account. Save it, and you'll have to be prompted with your email. So in this case, you'll have to get your verification code, which was sent to your email. So I provided my email here. Let me just put it here. So I already have provided my verification code, which I received from my email, and it will allow me to see my profile or my vault. So in my vault, what I can see here are my personal information, which I could set up. I'm gonna put my name. I could put my nickname. I could also put my date of birth. So let's just select something here and my gender. Similarly, I could do the same for the contact information, but in this case, I'll be able to put my phone number and address details. I have also the option to set up my profile picture here, which is based on the URL. So you could use your profile picture available, like from LinkedIn or from any other sources. And finally, we have the ID information here, which is a unique identifier. The ID means a centralized identifier. So whenever you create a vault, you'll get your own specialized or unique DID. Another option that I want to showcase with you is the part of creating a backup. So to create a backup, what you need to do is just go to Backup and Recovery and click on Download My Data. What it does is it prompts you for your passphrase that we have already created earlier. And once I provided it, just click on Download, and it will initially download the file in a JSON format. Don't worry, this file or this backup file is encrypted, so nobody can access it as long as you are the only one who knows the passphrase. So luckily, I also created an account here on my another profile in my browser. So next step, how do we integrate Affinity Login in my store? So to do that, we have to go to our reference. First is by going to affinity.com website. Here, you'll be able to know more about holistic identity and what are the tools that you could use to set up your application. To know more about the application that you could use, just go to Get Started, and you'll see here the list of items or the list of tools that we have in store. One of which is if you are fancying or you want to use user interface, I would suggest you use Affinity Portal. On the other hand, if those who want to use command line interface, you can go to Affinity CLI. So in this demo, I'm going to use Affinity Portal. So to go to the portal, just go to portal.affinidi.com and you'll be able to log in. By the way, the Affinidi portal uses your vault instead to log in. It doesn't use any username and password, which is the one that we want to achieve. I want to focus on this part because this is what we're going to expect on the integration in our Shopify platform. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on login. And on the login side, what it does is it initially tries to go share my consent or get my consent. So in this case, it was trying to access my vault. So the vault that I will share with you earlier, I actually have set it up here. It's trying to access this vault. I'm gonna unlock it for now. And then this is what I want to share with you. This is the consent manager or the consent page. What happens here is that Affinidi or the Affinity portal is trying to log into my vault. And what it was trying to get or to access is my email only. So remember, we could set up other attributes like your name, your date of birth, and some other information there like address. In this case, there's this selective way of only getting or asking for what they only need. In this case, you're just asking for an email. And since this is a consent, you have the option to either decline or continue. So I'm going to click on continue. And what happens next is it will allow me to log in. So that's the thing that we want to achieve with our integration using our application in Shopify. So no need for username and password, just a passwordless experience or seamless experience. Before we go with the next steps, I want to share with you another reference that is very important, and it will provide you comprehensive information. So I'm going to open another tab, and let's go to docs.affinity.com. This link is also available in the website by clicking on this tab again. So we are on affinity.com. Click on this menu and go to resources. On the resources, just select docs. So this is what I'm talking about the comprehensive information. You'll get all the details that you need for you to further understand how to integrate your application with Affinidi Login. So in this demo, we're going to focus on the part of integrating Shopify with Affinidi Login. So go to Labs under Reduce Customer Onboarding Friction and click Passwordless Authentication for Shopify. So we're gonna follow all the steps here. Also, there are some prerequisites that are important to be followed, one of which is to set up your Affinity Vault, which you already have right now. Now, going to the setup instructions, under Shopify, we need to use a popular option for integrating SSO and OAuth 2.0. We need to find and integrate Mini Orange as a single sign-on application. In my case, I already have installed it, but for the sake of this demo, I'm gonna uninstall it for now. So this is Mini Orange. I'm just gonna uninstall. And let's go back to the settings, close. What I need to do is just go to the apps and it'll open this. We need to search for Mini Orange. And since it doesn't show that it's already existing, we need to go to the Shopify App Store. So I'm gonna click on this, which opens a new tab, and it displays the Shopify App Store. What it does is it shows all the matching criteria based on the search that I provided, which is Mini Orange, and we need to install Mini Orange single sign-on. So I'm going to click on this and click install. In this process, it goes back to my admin page of my Shopify account, and it prompts me to install the app here. So I'm going to click on install so that it will be available for me to use. And now it's already available. We need to follow the succeeding steps. So let's go back to the documentation. I'm going to close this items for now. So we already have installed the Mini Orange, and we did this already. Let's go jump to the next step, which is step 8. To enable the login button, set up the SSO button text and styling. So more of like modifying the cosmetics of the button that you want to display. In this case, since I already have set up my integration earlier, to enable it, just toggle this, and you could put the name for the button. So the button name will appear as Affinidi Login. You could also change the color. I also have followed the instruction here. Background color will be blue based on these parameters. And the sizing of the button will be 188 pixels by 48 pixels. Another thing to note is that there are attribute mappings that are available here that you could configure. These attributes are, by the way, coming from the identity provider, which is Affinidi Login. So whatever that the identity provider provides, we're going to map it here. So I already have followed the instructions in the documentation. We put email, sub, first name and last name with these values. So these parameters are coming from the IDP as what I mentioned. What I'm gonna do next is just click on save. And now we have done the first part of the integration. What it means is that it just gives out or displays the button of Affinidi Login, which shows here. So this is the button. Supposedly, if you don't have an IDP configured for this button, it will not work as expected, as what we have seen in the portal. To do that, we need to follow the next steps, which is to set up your IDP. So we need to get the callback URL. To do that, I'm going to go to setup IDP, and it will open another tab or another page. This is under Securify, which is part of the Mini Orange. I have created my own integration of IDP, but I'm going to delete this for now. So doing a fresh start, we need to add an identity provider. To do that, click on this button, and we have to select OAuth 2.0. In this case, you will have to configure all the required parameters here to successfully integrate your identity provider with Affinidi Login. So first, as mentioned here in the documentation, we need to get the callback URL. The callback URL is here. I'm just gonna copy it. And then, since you already have copied, the next step is to create and configure your login configuration as your social login application. So what we can do is, using the portal, go to Affinidi Login under the services section, and we have to create the login configuration. So let's do this. Back in the portal, go to services and Affinidi Login. Now we are in this page. Okay, let me just open another account. So I'm gonna open another portal, which is on my different account, as I have maximized my account limits. Okay, so go back to Affinidi Login under services. We need to create a Shopify integration here. So I'm just gonna delete this existing ones. And then let's create a new login configuration. I'm gonna click on this button. So in this case, in this page, we are asked to provide the following details. So for the name, I could put Shopify demo app. Remember, we have copied the direct URI. I'm just gonna paste it here. Additionally, if we go back to the documentation, we also need to provide the auth method, and we have to set it as none. And the reason for that is to enable the PXE flow or the PKCE flow. So let's go back to the portal, click on additional configuration, and in the auth method, instead of selecting client secret post, we need to select none. And then proceeding with the next or succeeding steps. Here in this documentation, we need to set up our presentation definition and ID token mapping. The presentation definition is in a way that it describes what are the things that we want to get or fetch from your vault. So in this case, the default configuration for the login configuration, it just only gets the email. In this case, we want to use other fields, such as in this example, we have email coming from credential subject.email. We also have given name coming from this path. And finally, family name. So let's just copy this whole thing. The whole configuration is already copied. And let's set up our own presentation definition, which is a custom definition. Let's create a new and paste the details. Now that we have set up the presentation definition, let's click on continue to set up the ID token mapping. To go back to the documentation, let's go to the next step. Here it mentions about the ID token mapping. The purpose of this ID token mapping is to map all those captured or fetch items from the vault, which I mentioned about the email, given name, and family name, to a more specific path, which will be available for your application. So I'm getting the email. Remember the one that we have set up in the attribute mapping? This is where it was getting it. Also the given name and family name. So let's just copy the whole configuration of the ID token and paste it here. Click done. And just to review what we have done here before creating the login configuration, we have set up the name, a Shopify demo app. We've also pasted the URI, and authentication method is set up to none. We did also configure the presentation definition and ID token mapping. Let's click on create now. All right, so now that we have already created the login configuration, let's go back to the application. So in the guide, it says here that it was created, the client ID and issuer, which we saw in the pop-up. The next step is to go back to the Mini Orange application and set up the following. So under the setup IDP, which you already have earlier here, we need to put the following. So the app name will select the custom provider. Display name is Affinidi. So let's check customer provider. Display name is Affinidi. We don't need to change the callback URL because it's already have been provided to us, and you're gonna change it. Let's put the values for the authorization endpoint, access token, and user info. So the information here are based on the issuer, as what you can see here. So everything has the issuer value, and we just need to update the path. So let's just go back to the portal, copy the issuer details or the URL, and go back to Mini Orange. So let's paste all the issuer URL here, and let's update the path one by one. For the first one, we're going to copy this and put it here. Remember, we need to ensure that there are no spaces so that the integration will work properly. For the access token, we'll get OAuth 2.0, OAuth 2/token. Paste it here. And lastly, the get user info will be based on this /user info. So we append it to the issuer URL. I think there's a space there, so just to ensure everything is working fine. All right. Next, it was asking for the client ID. And since we got the client ID also as well, I'm going to copy it and paste it here. The client secret is not really necessary for this one because we are using Pixie Flow. To do that, we have to change the grant type and change it to authorization code Pixie. So this doesn't matter anymore. And finally, we have to test or to put the scope. The scope, as per the documentation, we have to put OpenID space offline access. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. And the final step is to click on save. And now that we have saved it, definitely we would like to test it first to check if it's already working or not. So to do that, click on select and click on test connection. And as what you see here, it shows the same experience as what we did or what we saw from the Affinity portal login. So let's try to log in, and it's trying to use my Vault here. I see the consent. So earlier in the login configuration, we have provided the name. The name is Shopify demo app. So it just places it here. And it's trying to log into my Vault. And what it was asking are the following: email, first name and last name, which stands for the one that was provided earlier in the presentation definition, and ID token mapping. Let's click on continue for this consent. And what we're expecting is that it will display that the test was successful. And we can see it here. And it also returns some of the items or the attributes that are available, which was returned by the identity provider, also Affinidi Login. So let's close this. And let's go back to the store. And I want to test what we have. Okay, so this is our app. To test it, I'm going to put it in my another account or in my another profile. Paste it here. And I remember that we have secured our store. So I have to put the password. And then, before we do the testing, I want to ensure that I have all details like my name and last name. I think this is totally okay because those are the only things that are required by the presentation definition and my login configuration. So let's test it now. Here, in my cart, I already have selected this item. I'm going to click on checkout. And in this page on the left-hand side, you can see that you have to fill up a lot of forms, or I mean, these fields. And we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. So first I'm going to do is click on login. And I have the option to log in via Affinidi Login or log in using username and password, which is, I don't want this. So let's click on Affinidi Login. And provide the passphrase of my vault. And here you have, we have the email, first name and last name as requested by the Shopify demo app. And click on continue. All right, so now we can see some changes. The changes were, instead of showing the login, I'm already have logged into my account. And if you notice, there's this part about the delivery address. It doesn't have any information. And the main reason for that is because we have to identify and set up the login configuration in such a way that you have to get the address details from the login or from Affinidi Login using the vault. So to do that, we have to configure the application in such a way that you'll be able to get those information. So to do the proceed with the demo, I also have set up another store. In this case, it has the full configuration. Let me just open this and let's start on an empty card. So let's continue shopping. Imagine you're going to buy another snowboard here. I'm gonna select this and click buy it now. So we are seeing the similar checkout page. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on login. Here, the button is actually pretty much different. I'm gonna discuss how we can do this later. But to do the experience, I'm gonna click on Affinidi Login. Now it's trying to log into my vault. And in this case, aside from just asking for my email, my first name and last name, it is also asking for other information like phone number, first name, last name, date of birth, gender, address details and stuff. So everything is already here. So the expectation, if you click on continue, it will provide all the details and pre-fill the information on the delivery address. And there you have it. So as expected, aside from just showing that we are already logged in, it automatically provides the delivery address information, my name, last name, and the address, even the city. So talk about the best user experience. So we already have seamlessly done it with Affinidi Login and Affinidi Vault. Another thing that I want to share with you is the way how we can customize further the experience for the customer. So to do that, there's this configuration in Shopify that you could offer discounts. So I'm going to click on discounts. And in this part, you will be able to set up your discount based on this example, just using promo code. The promo code is actually part here, which is you can input the text. So let's say birthday and click on apply. So supposedly it should apply the discount, but for the further customization, I'm going to click on the details on what are the required prerequisites in order for me to apply the discount. So in this case, the expectation is that once we put the discount code birthday, it will apply 5% discount. And there is this part which says customer eligibility. In this case, we could opt to allow all customers, but definitely not all customers has to have the discount because it's not their birthday. To do that, I'm going to select the specific customer segment. And in this case, I have this customer segment here called birthday customers. I'm going to click on this, and it will show me some short codes that was configured earlier. Here, what it does is simply compares if the date of birth, which was actually obtained from the vault or the user's vault, is equivalent to today. If it matches, then it will show here which customers are eligible. So in this case, it doesn't show my name here. It means I'm not eligible. But if I change my vault details or my date of birth, which is, for example, it's today, it will show me that I'm eligible. Also, I want to go back to the customization that I mentioned earlier. So earlier, I mentioned about Affinidi Login or the button showing a customized way of displaying it, which is showing Affinidi Login button with this icon. To do that, we can just follow the customization steps here. Basically, the whole step here that was mentioned in this documentation is by updating the themes that are available. So we can do that by going to online store. And first is go to the themes. Here you could have the option to customize. So just click on customize and follow the steps that was mentioned in the documentation. So we just have to edit the code and customize it in using CSS. Should be very straightforward for developers. And now we're done with the demo. Let's proceed with the next presentation. So if you want to know more about our products, please visit our website and other resources. We have created comprehensive guides and use cases on our documentation website. We have tools available to help you on your journey. Please visit our website. It's just affinity.com/get started to learn more about Affinity Portal and CLI. Learn more about our upcoming events and attend our webinars, in-person meetups, and social demos. Now that we have covered enabling passwordless authentication using holistic identity for Shopify, let's take a moment to summarize what we have discussed earlier. So first, we have tackled the understanding the need to go passwordless. We've also talked about what holistic identity is. We also did a step-by-step guide on how we can implement passwordless authentication experience using Affinidi Login with Shopify. And finally, we went through the Affinity developer resources that will help you and guide you through on how to start your journey on building applications focusing on holistic identity. Thank you very much once again for joining this session today. Stay tuned for our upcoming events and hope to see you all soon. Thank you.